My brother Jason and I moved to Colorado a few years ago. We both wanted to live near the mountains, but neither of us could afford it alone. So we decided to share the rent on a townhome just outside of Denver. This was great because we were only 10 to 15 minutes away from a long line of mountains. One thing about these hiking and camping trails is that they are very crowded. They are easy to get to, so many people, including tourists, use them all year round. It's hard to find a quiet spot. Because of this, Jason and I planned a 3-day backpacking trip. We hoped to get away from the crowds and find some peace and quiet. Jason planned the trip, and a couple of weeks later we drove to the trailhead. When we got there, only one other car was parked, an old, dusty SUV. It looked like it had been through a rough drive. Since there was likely only one other person hiking, we started our hike in a good mood.
The first day of backpacking was an 8-mile hike. Most of the trail was flat until the last couple of miles, where we started hiking up a mountainside. It was tiring, but Jason promised the campsite would be worth it. He was right. About 3/4 up the mountain, we found a small flat area on the cliffside with a view of the whole valley. It was stunning, especially with the sun setting. After enjoying the view, we pitched our tents and gathered sticks and stones to make a fire pit. Once the fire was going, we sat down and talked for a long time. Suddenly, we heard something from the trail. We went silent, listening as footsteps came closer to our campsite. A minute later, a man came out of the dark and into the firelight. He wasn't wearing a headlamp, which every hiker knows is important when it's dark. As he walked up, Jason and I felt something was wrong. The man had a strange grin on his face. "Hey, do you need something?" Jason asked, standing up.
The man looked at Jason, then at me, still grinning. He said he was a park ranger and had been following our trail. He told us this section was closed for the season and we couldn't be there. But we knew the park was open because we had gotten permits from the state the day before. Also, real park rangers wouldn't be on a mountain trail at night. Jason and I realized something was very wrong. The man insisted, "You both need to leave with me right now. Pack up and follow me. I'll lead you back to the trailhead." We stood there, silent and scared. The man stayed by the fire, grinning. "No, we're staying here," Jason said. The man looked at us, still grinning, then turned and walked away into the dark. We were terrified. We stayed silent for a few minutes, listening to make sure he didn't come back. Then we gathered more sticks and rekindled the fire. We didn't sleep at all that night. Sometimes we thought we heard footsteps, but we never saw the man again. When the sun came up, we packed our things and left, cutting our trip short. We hiked back to our car. The same dusty SUV was still there. We wondered if the other hiker had met the same man and what had happened to them. We notified the police, but they found nothing. The man had lied about being a park ranger, and he had tried to lead us into the woods at night. We don't know what he was planning, but it was probably something bad. We were lucky to get away, but we never found out what happened to the other hiker. I used to go camping with my friends from college, but after we graduated, it got hard to find time. Everyone was busy, so I started going camping alone. There was a camping spot we used to visit a lot, and I decided to go there because it felt safe. It was a bit far and not easy to get to, but that's why I liked it. No one else was usually there because there were easier camping spots nearby. I knew the way, so I got there easily and set up my tent and stuff. After a while, a man showed up. He looked like any other hiker, but he only had a small backpack. He didn't have a tent or any camping gear. It was strange because this spot wasn't very scenic. It was nice for camping because of the open area with trees, but not a place you'd hike to for fun. I didn't think much about it then. Maybe he just wanted a quiet place to relax. I stayed by my tent, and the man stayed on the other side of the campground. Around 6 p.m., I walked away from my tent to cook some food. I saw the man leave. It was almost dark, and it would take about 3 hours to hike back, so it seemed late for him to be leaving. But I was happy to be alone. I boiled water with my mini stove and sat down. The sun was almost gone, so I turned on a small lantern and hung it on my tent. I realized I was alone, and missed the times my friends and I would sit around a campfire and talk. After a while, I turned off the lantern and went into my tent to sleep. Sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up to the sound of footsteps nearby. It was pitch black, and I didn't know how long I had been asleep. The footsteps came closer and closer until they stopped on the other side of the campground. I felt around for my lantern, turned it on, and unzipped my tent to look out. About 20 feet from my tent, I saw the shape of a man standing where I had seen the guy earlier. It looked like the same person, but he was just standing there, not doing anything. It was the middle of the night, and this was very disturbing. He definitely saw me when I turned on my lantern. "Hey, are you okay?" I called out. He didn't respond or move. I couldn't tell which way he was facing. Was he looking at me or away from me? Both options were scary. I grabbed my pocket knife from my backpack and just sat there, waiting. The next 15 minutes felt like the longest of my life as I watched the man stand there, barely moving. Then, suddenly, he turned and walked off in the same direction he had gone before. From the way he moved, I could tell he had been facing me, so he had been staring at me the whole time. I felt chills as his footsteps got quieter and faded away. I didn't know what else to do except stay awake in case he came back. As far as I know, he never did. I left in the morning and got home safely. Since then, I haven't gone camping. I don't know what that man was doing, but it was very scary. Maybe I scared him off by waking up and watching him, but it's terrifying to think about what could have happened if I hadn't woken up. One night, I was camping in the backcountry near where I lived. I'm not much of a hiker, so I never take trails more than a mile or two. This one was just over a mile from the campsite to the trailhead where my car was parked. I was spending the weekend camping by the lake and planned to stay for 2 more nights. On the 3rd day, I hiked back to my truck to get my fishing rod and some extra food, then hiked back to the camp. I thought I'd try my luck at fishing. When I got back to camp, there was another tent set up farther down on the edge of the lake, but I didn't see anyone around it. I didn't think much about it at first, but then I realized I hadn't seen anyone on the only trail leading to this part of the lake. Maybe there was another path I didn't know about. I set up my rod and started fishing. Every 20 minutes or so, I glanced over at the tent, but I never saw anyone. As the sun started to set, I packed up my rod and went back to my tent. I ate some food and gathered sticks for the campfire. When it got darker, I lit the fire. Just as I did, I saw someone's shadow move in the forest ahead of me. They were too far away for the light to reach them, so I couldn't see them clearly. I thought it was probably the person from the tent down by the lake, maybe gathering sticks for a fire. It was a bit strange that they were right outside my camp just when I lit my fire, but I didn't think too much about it. I leaned back in my chair and relaxed, looking at the fire, the sky, and the lake. It was so calming that I almost fell asleep in the chair. About half an hour later, I looked past the fire and saw several figures coming from the forest. As they got closer, I counted 4 men walking right up to my campsite. I tried to stay calm and hoped they were just a nearby camping group in need of help. When they came into the light, I saw they were all in their 30s or 40s and had serious faces. They didn't say anything as they walked up to me. 2 of them went behind me, straight to my tent, while the other 2 pushed me aside. I knew something bad was happening, but fighting back would only make things worse. I watched the 2 men start searching through my things as the other 2 pushed me further away from the campsite and the light. I tried talking to them, but they didn't care. I kept telling myself to stay calm and let them take what they wanted. But the 2 men kept pushing and dragging me further into the dark forest. After a minute, I could barely see where we were going. Then we stopped. I turned to face them, and all my fears hit me at once. One of them reached for something, and I instantly took off running. I ran as fast as I could, only hearing my footsteps pounding against the leaves and grass. I tried to find the trail and head back to my truck. When I reached my truck, I realized nobody had followed me. I reported what happened to the police, but almost all my stuff was stolen, and they couldn't find any clues about who the men were. Thinking about what they were going to do to me is scary, but I feel very lucky to have made it out safely.